we discuss about the Introduction to Vulnerability Assessment Framework. The United Nations Development Programs operationalized assessment methodologies. United Nations Development Program translate IPCC concept into practitioners' methodologies, emphasizing equity, participation, and scalability. Community-based resilience analysis, which is based on the field tested across 40 plus countries since 2012, follows 4 iterative phases. The first one is sensitization workshops, establishing trust through shared hazard calendar. The second is household survey. In this, the number is 30 minus 50 divided by settlement. The total settlement is scoring asset pentagons. It is based on the human social, physical, financial, natural capital, disaggregated by gender, divided by wealth quantiles. The third is institutional capacity, audits evaluating service delivery across 12 functions. Early warning, shelter management, these are major focus of this. Fourth is community validation, workshops prioritizing 5 to 7 adaptation options via voting matrix. The COBRA generates tripartite outputs, participatory risk atlas, which is based on the hand-drawn and further it is digitized. Then household vulnerability profile, institutional capacity heat maps, these are designed by traffic light scoring. Scalability spans 50 households, village to 10,000 population districts, producing Green Climate Fund ready proposal with 85% community ownership rates versus 42% for top-down assessment. Students, gender response variants incorporate menstrual hygiene, water interaction, and childcare burdens during floods. Climate risk management framework employs risk is equal to F, hazard magnitude, vulnerability, and capacity deficit, operationalized through web-based toolkits facilitating multi-stakeholder workshops. Gender responsive vulnerability assessment for least developed countries integrate intersectionality. How is it calculated? Gender multiplied by ethnicity multiplied by disability, revealing women-headed households, Exhibit 2.3 multiplied by vulnerability multipliers in flood-prone districts. So, this was the description about the methodology. Now, let me explain to you the comparative framework architect analysis. You can refer this table in which the framework has been given related to IPCC AR6, UNDP COBRA, UNDP VRP and UKCIP adaptation wizard. Then how to calculate the risk equation, then different scale range has been given pertaining to the respective report and organization, then data intensity, the validation method, respective validation method which is used, and what is the policy output. So, in case of IPCC AR6, impact is equal to exposure multiplied by vulnerability, and in this continental household is considered as the scale range, high data intensity is considered, and then observe impact correlation in which R is equal to 0.78 is taken as a method to calculate it. What is the policy output? The NDC targets and global stock takes. In the same way, in UNDP COBRA, risk is equal to hazard multiplied by vulnerability multiplied by capacity. In this, the scale range is at village province, its participatory surveys and the data intensity is medium. You can see that community plausibility voting in which 85% approval is required. This is the validation method for data, and then the policy output is GCF proposals, local action plans. Again UNDP VRP, the vulnerability is considered as vulnerability is equal to exposure into sensitivity divided by capacity. Scale range is at district level which even goes to national. So, it is from district to national. The data intensity is low to medium. Expert elicitation Delphi rounds used as a validation method, and the policy output is in NAP investment roadmaps. The last framework is related to UK CIP adaptation wizard, in which current vulnerability takes you to future vulnerability and what are the options. It is at organizational level or at sector level, and the self assessment method in case of data intensity, it is related to what kind of variable can be taken here, and then iterative learning cycles are considered as the validation method, and the policy output is corporate adaptation strategies. So, you can see that how different calculations are required to gain the policy output and what type of validation methods are used to validate the data intensity. IPCC provides authoritative science baseline. UNDP excels in translating analysis into financed implementation. Hybrid applications increasing Nest Cobra with IPCC scenario for comprehensive national adaptation plan. Now, let me explain to you the sectoral framework application which is related to the agriculture system. Students, IPCC AR6 Chapter 5 projects 10 to 25% yield decline for C3 crops under SSP2 and RCP4 through 2050. Vulnerability matrix integrate crop suitability indices, irrigation adequacy ratio, market integration score. United Nations Development Project Smallholder Tool assess 12 staples across drought, heat, flood, stresses, generating varietal transition roadmap, that is SRI, to flood tolerant rice. Now, let me explain to you the different methods related to water resource. The basin vulnerability, how it is calculated. Basin vulnerability is equal to runoff sensitivity index multiplied by storage, or what is the capita, multiplied by allocation equity score. So, IPCC hydrology chapters model 20 to 40% for dry season flow reduction across monsoon Asia. UNDP shared waters assessment facilitate riparian cooperation through joint vulnerability profiles, intensifying transboundary flashpoint basin. So, let me describe about public health. Epidemiology vulnerability integration combines heat mortality functions, vector niche model, that is known as MaxEnt, and health system readiness indices. AR6 projects 250,000 additional annual deaths in the year 2030 to 2040 from diarrheal, heat, malaria. UNDP tools prioritize clinic hardening and vector surveillance in 100 highest risk districts. Now, let me describe about urban infrastructure. Asset exposure surface multiplied by critical function threshold, which is further multiplied by retrofit readiness. So, now let me discuss about UK CIP's backlight assesses 18 business functions in which supply chain and employee health is considered as one of the factor. IPCC urban chapters identify 1.8 billion people in 1 in 100 year floodplains by 2050 absent protection upgrades. Now, let me take you to ecosystem services. These are trait based vulnerability scoring, then filters IUCN red list by thermal tolerance, dispersal capacity. Nature based solution yields BCRs of 4.1 to 9.1 versus grey infrastructure.